Welcome to the Deadlifts and Pizza podcast, where we discuss no BS fitness and nutrition.
We're your hosts. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jaime.
Let's get into it.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Happy Tuesday. It's raining a lot here, which we need. It was funny. It rained all day yesterday, and Don and I were just like so annoyed, and he's like, oh, it's so gross, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I mean, if you think about it, it literally has not rained all day once since we moved back. And it's been like 9 months since we moved back. So the earth really needs the rain. So I feel like we shouldn't be complaining.
New York is the opposite. It's really hard to have a nice day. And anytime it's warm, like last week was really warm. Today is cold. Yeah. It's like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Ugh. But last week was warm. I got up to like 80 something the one day. But anytime that happens, it's like humidity and thunderstorms and rain. And it's just really hard to have a nice warm day.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, we've had lots of nice warm days, and then it's a day of rain and we're all like pissed off. So this is the second day of rain. But honestly, it's fine. But the thing that's driving me nuts is like the temperature plummeted. It like I think the high's in the 60s today, which is manageable. But yesterday it was literally in the 50s.
Oh no.
Oh, it was so cold. We were just cold.
It was 24 was the low last night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's just confusing because it was warm last week, so my body doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyway.
You know, I think I've told you this before, the thing that bugs me, I literally think this bugs me the most about like unpredictable weather, which is mainly fall and spring. And that's why I don't like fall and spring, is because I don't know what to wear and it pisses me off. And it's my own fault because like I don't like to wear jeans. I don't like to wear leggings. I don't like to shop or like buy clothes. I want things to be easy. So like I have Halara is like my favorite activewear brand, athleisure, right? And I just have tops and skirts and I throw those on and I don't have to think about it. And I look cute, but I can also go work out and it's awesome. But when it's cold outside, I wear those same things, but I just put sweats on top. Okay, cool. In the middle, I don't know what to do. And it makes me so mad. I don't have go-tos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the other day when it got chilly and I was going through my closet, that familiar like anxiety of like, I don't know what to put on my body, like came back and it makes me mad. I can't explain it.
See, fall and spring are my favorite because I don't like the extremes. I don't like it when it's too hot.
I get that, but
I don't like when it's too cold.
You wear jeans. I hate jeans. Putting them on makes me...
Why do you hate jeans?
I don't like the feeling of them at all. I don't like leggings. I don't like leggings either, but I like them better than jeans because I can move around, but I like air on my legs, which is why I like shorts and skirts and I like my armpits to be free, so I wear tanks. I like air. I would be naked all the time if I could be because I just like the air. And the pants that I like are they're like this cloth. A lot of times you see people walking around with like elephant pants on. They're like real thin material. I love those. And so I think I would like linen, linen pants. And I've tried to buy them before, but they fit me weird. So I think I just need to try again. But then, so I'm like, okay, I like these like linen because they're loose and they have air and like I could get behind that, but then I don't know what top to wear with them. So then that's a whole new thing. Anyway, I need to figure it out because it's been like my whole life I've been like this.
I don't like things tight around my calves or ankles.
Mm-hmm.
So the upper part can be tighter, but like around my thighs is fine. But around my ankles, like, so I've never been the type that likes, for a while, that was like the style.
What was?
To have, jeans that are like,
like skinny jeans.
Yeah, skinny jeans and jeggings and things. And I never liked them. Like I'm more of a like boot cut bell bottom person because I just do not like them.
Well, now super wide leg is in again.
I know. Those are unflattering though. Like my ass is already big. Like it just makes it look bigger.
I don't know. I think that could be really flattering for like, I feel like my body type looks good in that.
Does it?
I feel like yours would too.
I don't know. I feel
like I want to experiment a little bit, but then I don't like spending money. So then that stops me from experimenting. But anyway, I want to look better. I want to have nice things. and I don't want to spend money. You know, it was funny. I was talking to one of the adult taekwondo coaches, and he's an adult, but he's 25. And then it was also me, who's 40, and then a 16-year-old girl. And the three of us were just having a conversation. He said something about the scuba. Oh, she was doing some video and she was going to do some taekwondo move in her dance video for school. And then she said she was going to do the scuba. And I was like, what's the scuba? And she did this move with her hand. One hand was like over her mouth or over her nose, and the other hand was out in front. Her arm was out in front of her, and she was like wagging her hand back and forth. And I instantly recognized it because I have a niece who will do that in her TikTok videos. So it kind of looks like this. And I was like, oh, that's the scoop. That's it. I didn't know. I know what it is. I just didn't know it had a name. And they're like, yeah, that's scuba. That's the thing. I was like, what about like 6'7"? They're like, oh, no, I was like, is that out? They're like, oh, that's out. That was so 2025. And I just laughed. And I was like, yeah, it's so funny because I feel like things come and go very quickly these days. But at the same time, we're bringing back things, that are more recent. Like, I feel like they're bringing back things from just our generation, and we're not that long ago. Usually it takes longer for things to come back, but it's already come. Like, we just probably put all that stuff in the Goodwill and now it's back.
No, because like if you think about it, when we were kids, bell bottoms came back, right? And those were from the 70s. So
That's true.
it really wasn't that long ago. It just felt like the 70s felt like so long ago, but
That's true.
what
Maybe
the
it's that
90s feels like.
perspective. Yeah. Donovan will say, I was born in the late 1900s.
Yeah,
Like, oh my God. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, our stuff's coming back, like wide leg jeans and like Nirvana t-shirts. And the girl goes,
Yeah.
that's literally what I wore to school today. I was like, stop it.
That's
A
so
Nirvana
funny.
t-shirt. She's like, yes.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
it always was that. Yeah, it just felt 70s felt like, oh,
That's true, because in my mind, I was like, it usually takes like 4 or 5 generations. It was like our great-great-grandparents did this. Like, no, actually,
No,
that's just
we didn't dress like they did in the 50s. Like, we're just like wearing like, I don't know what they were in the 50s, like fedoras to school
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
true. That would be ridiculous. What am I thinking? That's awesome. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, what you got?
So today for my workout, so lately I've been feeling really crappy, right? Just feeling like really tired, and all my workouts feel like they suck, but I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
Of course you do.
And then yesterday I was like, I can't, like, it's the last week of this block, and I'm like, I'm so tired. I just feel so spent. And I didn't even finish the last 2 exercises, which I know.
I do that all the time, but you never do that.
I never do that. So I'm like, I just don't feel like doing these right now because I don't think it's going to do anything helpful for me. I'm just so tired. And why? Because I'm not building muscle right now. So why do I care so much? Right. So I'm like, I'm just not going to do them. And then today's workout. So right now, like I said, last week I'm doing upper lower, right? So that was upper. Today was lower. And this is the 4th time I've done this workout. And normally by the 4th time I am done. I'm like spent and I can't whatever. Today I felt so good. Today I felt so good. And I'm like, oh, look I can do this weight.
I bet you went and made up those exercises from yesterday.
I did not.
Oh,
I did not. No. But it was like that. It was like, wow, I really needed just that little tiny break, I think. Just a little bit of a break can make such a big difference. And I need to remind myself that because I'm not, I'll tell other people that, but I don't listen to my own advice.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see about next week and see how I feel. But I think I'll be okay because it's only 3 workouts, right? Besides there's one conditioning day and then the other days are walks. So
yeah.
Which I do already on top of everything else.
It's because we're in it. You know that analogy where like you're hiking the mountain and I'm like in the helicopter watching you with a map. Like you're the one that's, going up the hills and, tripping on rocks and feeling gross and seeing lizards. But I can see that you're like 2 seconds away from the curve where everything's going to get flat, right? It's like that objective viewpoint. So even if I were to jump down from the helicopter and like discard my map and like trudge through the map, like I would feel the same way, right? So it's more so, it's not like how much it's more so like the perspective that you're coming at it from.
Definitely.
And you're not objective because you're in it. And, and then you've got your own emotions and your own expectations of yourself tied in with those. And you're never really sure, like, am I just being lazy? I need to hold myself to higher standards, or is this like we got the battle in our head?
That's huge one. Huge,
Yeah.
huge battle going on. And then in the summertime, I was thinking I really want to, and I say this all the time, but improve my work capacity because I like doing a lot of things. I like improving in so many different areas, and I want better recovery so that I can. And right now I feel
Yeah.
like my recovery sucks, but that's because I'm not eating enough. And normally my
Mhm.
recovery is pretty good. So I think I can, add some stuff on, and I just have to
Mhm.
you just have to do it slowly and gradually. But I was watching a YouTube video the other day. No, not the other day. It was like a couple weeks ago, so I won't remember the full details of it.
Watching this thing yesterday, I mean, in like, February.
And it was do you know who Mike Israetel is?
Mm-mm.
He's a big person in the fitness space, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes he'll do reviews of other people's workouts on YouTube. I don't watch
Oh,
him too
okay.
much, but everyone's like this one seemed interesting because it was Toomey, who is, do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
She's like the best CrossFitter ever and wins every year. Like she's like ridiculous, and she just wins and just continues to win. Like I don't know until she retires. I don't know if anyone will beat her anyway because I just started watching CrossFit more, and she's a monster. So it was her workouts, right? And they're getting closer to the games now, so her workouts are a little bit different. But it was in the morning. Okay, this was one day. One day. She's like, workout 1. And it was like a 15-mile run or something. I forgot how
Mm.
many miles. I think it was like 15 miles. Then later on in the day, a couple hours later, it was a Metcon. And then a couple hours later, it was it was a strongman workout.
Are you kidding me?
No, that was one day. One day.
And this is a top winning CrossFitter,
Yes.
though.
Yes.
So I wonder how much she eats.
Oh, I know, right? She might have talked about that a little bit in the video. But yeah, the funny thing, like, so people see, like, if you ever see CrossFit athletes, they are insanely fit, right? They have
Yeah.
they have ginormous abs and just they look like the fittest people I've ever seen, right? And so people assume the reason they look like that is because CrossFit must make you look like that, right?
Yeah.
But no, the reason they look like that is because they have built up so much work capacity that they work out 3 times a day like that, insane amounts. And so obviously you have to, like, if you're doing that much volume, you're going to be pretty fit.
One of
pretty
those
fit.
individual workouts would have required a rest day the following day for me.
Oh yeah. Like that's like a week's worth of workouts. 15
Yeah.
miles?
That's insane. I want to
Right?
watch that. If you find the link, send that to me.
Okay, I'll send it
I'm
to you. It
interested
was
in
very
that.
interesting. And then the other thing was the order that she did it in, right? Because she did the running first, then the Metcon, then the strongman. You think it would be reverse. That's like the reverse of what you would think. And her trainer in the video was like, yeah, normally we would, early in the year, we would do strength first because if you do all the other things first and then you do strength, you're not going to be building as much strength. You want to do that
Mhm.
first. But in the CrossFit games, sometimes you have to lift after doing a long run or a long thing. So you have to be able to perform that way. So they have to train that way. So the way
Very
they train
interesting.
isn't how you would normally train,
Yeah.
And he said even other times during the week, they might do strength first. It's because you still want to do that first sometimes to build that strength. So do it in all different kinds of orders. But yeah, the girl's crazy. I couldn't imagine. That's one day.
No,
She's like,
I'm not even
workout number
interested.
3.
Yeah, I don't even. That's literally your job, though. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Like that's not a normal person. Normal
right?
people can't do that.
No,
No,
you couldn't hold a job and train that way. Like
no,
you couldn't. So
no.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So my point is just, I don't want to do that, but you can build up your work capacity so you can handle more and recover more. A normal person doing that would die. Like you can't just go into that. She had to work up to that, obviously.
Yeah,
But
that's crazy.
yeah.
Speaking of that in general, I would like to get your thoughts publicly, because
Okay.
why not? It's an interesting topic, um, on how you think I can improve in Taekwondo. What would you think? And I have my own ideas, and I've already looked online and stuff, but I told you last time we talked, which I think was yesterday, that I've been meaning to message you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Just figure while we're talking.
Yeah.
So the things that I need to get better at is definitely like power, because when you jump to do like a tornado kick,
Mm-hmm.
if you jump higher, you have more time to get back around, right? Than if you jump like low.
Yeah.
So that's a piece of it. They've told me I need to get my legs back down quicker after kicking. So there's like a speed element there.
Mm-hmm.
And then definitely general like work capacity, which I think will maybe come just by doing more of it. But and then there's a mobility is definitely an aspect of it, but I think my mobility is good. There's a flexibility aspect for
Yeah.
sure. Like the higher you can kick and stuff, the better. And so, yeah, what are your thoughts on what I could do outside of Taekwondo to improve those things?
Well, I would definitely power. So anything where you have to in agility. So anything where you have to react quickly. So if you have to move, like a drill I like is you put a plate over one side and then you step. I think it's 3 feet. So it'd be 3 of your feet, right? So you step 1 foot, then another foot, then another foot. Then you put the other plate there. And what you do is you jump on 1 foot. So if I'm on the left side, if I'm on the left plate, I'm going to be jumping on my left foot. And I'm going to jump onto the plate, off the plate, then jump to the other side onto my right foot, then jump onto the plate, off the plate, and jump to the other side. So it helps
Mm,
you like react quickly. Like you have to, you know what I mean?
yeah, and
Like
switch
stuff like
direction.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, anything that makes you like react quickly. So like, especially when you said like trying to get your leg down faster, like being able to do that. So something like, um, a box squat where you step down and then you jump up. So you have to like jump really fast and you
Ah,
react
that
quickly.
yeah,
Something like that. Or things that help
that's a good one.
things that help your react. Like another one, I've talked about this before in the podcast, is where you do banded jumps. So that
Yeah.
helps you be a little bit more springy and be able to like do it quickly like that. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Anything like that.
One thing that I started doing is just putting up my bag. I want to get a freestanding bag. Right now I have one I can hang, but we don't have a permanent hanging fixture. We hang it from the squat rack, so it's quite a pain.
Yeah.
But is just kicking like or just a basic roundhouse kick as many as I can do in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And because being able to kick more means I got to get my leg down quicker to bring it back up, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I just started doing. It's a good like warm up to
Yeah.
for
And
strength training.
that was the other thing I was going to say too. So the things I'm giving you are more general of like
Mhm.
just increasing your power. So you that's kind of like your foundation. You have to get good at those things before you do more like specific things. And then
Mhm.
obviously add in more specific things that have to do with taekwondo, like the kicking and whatever.
Mhm.
But just increasing your power in general is going to transfer to you being able to do that better.
Right, right.
Yeah. Those are
Cool.
my thoughts.
Thanks.
But
Yeah.
I can research more because that taekwondo isn't one that I like. I don't know. I'm like more like football or, you
Yeah.
know?
But if you think of the basic elements of it, you
Yeah.
can always link it to something
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. Um I was reading an interesting study.
Okay.
It's really not it's not mind-blowing. It's just more so the way that it was explained I thought was interesting. So it was talking about so what they did was they were looking at change in velocity in lifting.
Mm-hmm.
So, something that we do as coaches is if if a client sends a video of them doing, I don't know, an overhead press, and the entire time they're lifting those dumbbells very quickly, and they get to 10, and there's been no change in the speed, and they're like, "Oh wow, that was really hard," and they're like, "That was an 8 out of 10 of effort," and we're like, "That definitely was not." And the way that I could tell was that there was never a change in speed of how fast you were going. It never got more difficult. It never slowed down.
Yeah.
Well, this was a literal study where they put a number to that, and it's like velocity change. So they measure it in like meters per second, and then how much gets lost throughout the set. And so it's essentially taking like that general idea of like effort and how close you're getting to failure and like putting a number to it, right? Can you still hear me? Did I cut out?
No, you're still there.
Oh, you cut out for a sec.
Oh, did I?
Well, you froze. So I
Oh.
couldn't tell if I was also frozen or not. Okay.
No.
So taking that general idea of like effort and how close to failure you are and like putting a number to it, right? And it's like velocity change is essentially what that is. And then they tested that. They took like people who were already trained and they just tested that by having them do like the same exercises but at different velocity losses. So
Okay.
and they did 3 different velocity losses. They did 0% velocity loss, and they did a 25% and they did a 50%. And it's basically just like how much slower the weight gets moving, right? And it's interesting because I just think about the things that the variables of resistance training that lead to progress are load, like how much weight you're actually lifting, right? Then there's effort, which is proximity to failure, which is exactly what we're talking about with velocity loss. Then there's like volume, like the amount that you're doing, right? How many sets per muscle per, whatever, how many reps. And then there's, frequency. How often are you doing, which is kind of going to go in with volume and how you split it up or whatever. But the thing that really matters the most is effort, right? So if you do the appropriate amount of sets per muscle group per whatever, and you spread those out across, the most ideal frequency, you're still not going to get results if the effort's not there. However, if you go less than optimal in the volume and like the sets per muscle, if your effort is there, like really high effort, very close to failure on all of them, you're going to make more progress, even if you're not in that like ideal, right? So it's just, and it's like we kind of know this, but I just thought this was interesting because it put it to the test. The one thing that is another interesting thing is like, so when they're doing like velocity loss, the 0% velocity loss group only did 1 repetition of each thing. So there's 0 velocity loss, but they only did 1 repetition. Does that make sense? So they can't even have any velocity loss because they only
Why
did
did
1
they
rep.
only do 1?
Because I guess that was one of the control groups because the second one did 4. They stopped at around 4 repetitions and they had a 25% velocity loss. So maybe just the load that they gave them, the 25% velocity loss group was only able to do 4 repetitions with that one.
It sounds
Does that
like
make
they
sense?
just kind of made them stop earlier. Like,
But
you're gonna do this.
they measured it using the meters per second. So I think what they did, maybe it says it in here if I read it more carefully. They might have given them all a very specific load. And in
Yeah.
order to have 0% velocity loss, they only did 1. And that they probably tested to figure out 25% velocity loss happened around 4 repetitions of this particular load. And then 50% velocity loss was achieved at about 6 repetitions. So once that 50% velocity loss was reached, the average across the reps and the sets was 6. So they measured the velocity loss and then they took the average of how many reps that was for the person.
It just sounds like it's like, okay, you're just getting closer to failure. That's all it really means.
It is, exactly. So I was reading this as exactly what it is, but they're putting a number to it. So yeah, they're getting closer to failure. But the volume obviously is not equated because one group only did 1 rep, one group did around 4, and the other group did around 6.
Yeah.
So obviously the results were that the 0% velocity group in terms of hypertrophy didn't really gain anything. It's like literally a flat line. Whereas the 25% velocity group, they had a smidge. It's like 1 centimeter of muscle thickness change. But then in the 50% velocity group, it's 3 centimeters. So it's much more. So clearly, the closer you get to failure, the more muscle you will gain, right?
Yes. I think this is how I see it. I see it as it depends on how many reps you are doing that are close to failure. So like if you do 10 reps of an exercise for 1 set and the last, when you go all the way to failure, those last couple of reps are all, very high quality reps, right? Whereas if you do 3 sets and you say you could only do 10 with those, but you stopped at like 7, like you would still get the same you're going to get more quality reps that are close to failure in that instance, right? So like it
Right.
depends on like it's like how you're looking at it. Each rep has a certain amount of like signal it's sending, because like something you could think about is like even low intensity can build muscle. Think about people who have ginormous calves who never work out their calves just because there's like this low level.
Well, there's also genetics that have to do with that.
Yeah, but like think about like people who wear high heels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they end up having big calves because there's this like low level signal that's happening
Like
all
constantly.
day. Yeah, constantly, right? So
and that's
it's
volume.
yes, that's volume. So it's like a mixture
Sure.
of everything. But
Sure.
I do think the most efficient way would be to get closer to failure and do less volume.
Right. Yeah, and I mean this is also saying like yes, there's a flaw in that the volume wasn't equated, right? One group was doing 1 rep, the other 4, the other 6.
Yeah.
So they weren't doing the same amount. So if the group doing 6 reps gained more muscle, but we have similar studies that show when the volume is equated and the effort is and the close to failure is the one that changes, we still see these same results. So
But is there a study that's like, okay, this group is going to stop 5 reps shy of failure, but they are going to do an extra set or something, and then
that would be interesting, right?
right, like to actually compare the two, because
So
it's
what
either
if we
together.
Yeah, what if like the high heels example, what if you did, I don't know, push-ups every single day, but 5 reps shy of failure?
Yeah,
Or push-ups, but like 2 failure, like
yeah,
3 days a week. Yeah, what
yeah.
would the difference be? I don't know. Maybe that exists and we just don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
But what was also interesting about this, so that's the obvious part, but they compared the strength gains as well. So the maximal strength like changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between the 0% velocity loss and the 25% velocity loss was like negligible.
Mm-hmm.
They both gained about the same amount of strength, only doing it once or doing it about 4 times. But the 6 rep group or the 50% velocity loss group was like double that. So they doubled their strength gains.
Because they're doing more volume, same
Right.
things, because they're doing
Yeah.
more.
They're
But
doing more.
same thing, like if you switch that, like if you were like, okay, that group is going to do more sets at a lower intensity, I bet you they would improve their strength better. Because velocity is important for strength, right? So like you don't want those grindy reps when you're trying to improve strength. So let's say like instead of doing like 1 set at 1 rep, you did like 5 sets at 1 rep compared to doing like 3 sets at 6 reps. You might still build more strength by doing that.
Yeah. But you do want the grindy reps when you're really testing it. You just can't do that all the time.
Not when you're training for it. Training and
Right.
testing aren't the same thing.
Right. Like 80% of the time it needs to be. Would you say 80% of the time? It needs to be lower intensity. We shouldn't getting those grindy reps.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that's
yeah,
it.
you want to push the weight, so you're going to have some of that. You just don't want all of your because it messes with your recovery too, so then you can't do as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just thought the piece of it that because I was thinking that while I was reading it, I was like, this is just how close you're getting to failure, right? Duh. But putting a number to it.
Different way of doing it, I guess.
So if we had some device, which maybe in the future, maybe near future, we will have, that you could actually measure velocity loss, that would be cool.
They
because
do.
What?
You have things that you could put on your bar, like people use them when they squat. You could put on your bar and you can just test your velocity. So like people who are strength training or like trying to do like powerlifting or something, they will use those because if you could do the same weight, but you can do it faster, then you're getting stronger. So they try to improve their velocity.
So that would be cool because that is one of the most common conversations I have with clients is like, but I don't really know what getting close to failure feels like. And I don't really know what it's supposed to look like. And the best I can do is like pretend I'm lifting and show them what it looks like when I get close to like maximal.
Yeah.
And I'm slowing it down. My breath is holding, my face is contorted, and that helps. But it would be so interesting to have some like really quick little device to be like, oh, look
Yeah.
at that. We're only at 25% velocity loss, even though you did 10. So we want that number to be, it'd be cool to put a number to it easily. So even though it said in the study, it kind of concluded by saying it's not a practical way to train for most people. I actually think it would be if we had a very easily accessible way to measure it.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends too if someone's, you got to make sure that you, on the concentric, you are trying to go fast, right? Because if you, so you could slow down,
You could do it purposefully.
you could do it
Yeah.
purposefully. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, just interesting
Yeah,
discussion.
interesting. Yeah, I want one of those at some point. I think they're pretty expensive, but
Yeah.
something that tests your velocity, because that's like another way of progressive overloading, right? That you don't
Exactly.
really think about. You know, I'm lifting the same weight as I did before, but I'm going faster with it.
Yeah,
Is actually a
that
way
would
of
be
progressive
that would
overload.
be cool too, because we say like if you're lifting the same weight but your form is better or your
Mhm.
RPE starts to get better, your rate of perceived exertion, basically that effort, it doesn't feel as hard. But what if we could put a number to that? So
Yeah.
what if instead of people constantly trying to like add weight and then feeling like, oh my God, but what if we had this tiny little thing that was like, oh, but this is like 0.6 meters per second. Oh, but now it's like 0.5
Yeah.
or 0.7 or whatever, like these
Yeah.
tiny little changes that you might not necessarily be able to feel, but you can see that you're making progress.
Yeah, definitely. I would like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You want to play a game?
I do.
Do you want to do an overrated, underrated, or like a coach's dilemma where we just give some common issues? What would you fix first? Or we can do this like there is no gray zone. You have to give a yes or a no.
Let's do overrated, underrated, because we haven't done it in
Okay.
a while.
So it's a little bit basic stuff, but we're going to revisit some common topics and see where we're at because overrated or underrated could change based on what's going on social media, what's being talked about. Something could have been previously overrated and is now underrated, etc. So reverse dieting, overrated or underrated? I feel like it's a little. Go ahead, you first.
uh, it's a hard one. I don't know what the consensus is. It's hard because we're in our own little bubbles, right?
Yeah,
I do know when I first started in this industry, it was definitely overrated. It was like everybody needs to reverse diet. I don't know if it's as overrated anymore because GLP-1s and everything. So,
I was gonna say I think it's properly rated.
yeah.
I've always hated the term, honestly. And I think the term reverse dieting is just, it's catchy because when we think of dieting, we think of lowering calories and lowering food intake. But then when you put the word reverse in front of it, it's like, ooh, what do you mean? Eat more? Like, so it's like this catchy phrase. Because we've always kind of done reverse dieting. I just would call it eating more, right? I'd call it improving your metabolism. I would
Yeah.
call it,
I get it's just reverse because the goal is to do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're moving up your calories. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
But I understand.
So do you
what you're
agree it's
saying.
like properly rated?
Yeah. I don't think it's underrated. And I don't think it's overrated at the moment. So yeah, I would say
Yeah, that's
properly
pretty
rated.
good. Some people definitely need to do that. A lot of
I,
people do.
I remember when I first started, it was there were certain coaches I would see in groups and whatever, and they would say, "Oh, every client that comes to me, I reverse diet them." Like, but why?
Yeah.
If I came to you and I was like, "Hey, I need to, I want to lose weight this spring," and you're like, "Well, I'm going to reverse diet you." I'm like, "No, I don't. I've been eating all winter. Like, I don't need to reverse diet.
Right.
Please don't do that."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
not everybody needs it.
Lifting to failure. To failure.
I don't think people tell people to do that very often. So I don't think it's overrated.
I'm leaning overrated.
Are you? Do you think, who says that? Who tells people to lift to failure?
Oh, Joe. Joe tells people. No, I'm just making that up. I feel like I hear that a lot about this idea, especially like in groups I'm in or clients that are watching things about this idea of like getting to failure is more talked about, I think. And so I think which is kind of good. It's like the whole pendulum swing, but it's not understanding that you don't actually have to be at failure. You can be with it. You can be within like 2 to 3 reps of it, which is a big difference. 2 to 3 reps of failure is a big difference than failure. And you don't need to be getting to failure every time. So that's why I say I'm edging to overrated, but only slightly. It's not like this is this huge hot topic I'm hearing talked about all the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna say properly rated, because I don't think, I mean, I don't, maybe I just don't hear it as often as you do, but I rarely
Yeah.
ever hear anybody touting to do that. But also, you need to do that every once in a while, and it's going to happen sometimes.
Yes.
And getting
Agreed.
like going to failure, if you go to failure, then you know where it is. So I think it
That's
should be
true.
done once in a while.
That's true. All right. Walking for fat
I
loss.
think that's actually underrated,
I agree.
because people sometimes think of a walk as not exercise, whereas if you are like way overweight, if you have a lot of weight to lose, then it's probably the best and safest way to do it, you know?
Yes. I think people underestimate how much just everyday movement uptick can help in metabolism
Yeah.
and yeah, fat loss. And I think that that's definitely true for somebody who's like very overweight and has the misconception that they need to be doing cardio and sweating and like eating lettuce leaves in order to lose weight. Like I think they underestimate how much just doing the simple things every day can be. But I also think for somebody who's further along, who's maybe more lean, is trying to maybe lose a vanity 5 pounds, like maybe where we're at, um, I think I think that population can appreciate just that uptick in daily movement a little bit more, especially when like when you're dieting and you're in a cut or like a fat loss phase and your calories are low, your general movement naturally goes down. So where you might talk a lot with your hands or you might get up and do things or you might fidget, that starts to naturally decrease because your body's kind of generally looking to conserve. So if you intentionally try to add some more steps in your day, that can really make up that difference. But I think
Yeah.
people who are already there kind of understand that a little bit better, so it's probably more properly rated for
Yeah.
that population. But yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. I think it's underrated. Do I think that walking is the best thing people can do for fat loss? Like, no.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think somebody would be mistaken to think, "Oh, I'm gonna go lose 50 pounds and I'm only gonna walk, and that's gonna be the thing that does it." Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I totally agree. I think lifting weights is one of the best things. Well, yeah, fat loss in general, not just weight loss, but fat loss, right? Uh, but if you're somebody who's like, like somebody who is very, I don't want to say this like sensitively, but very obese, right? Um, like just walking, if you're not used to doing that, just imagine how many calories your body is burning doing that activity, and it's resistance because you're carrying around so much weight,
Mhm. Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
People who are heavier have less of a need to do things to improve bone density, right? I mean, their bone density is usually pretty high.
Yeah.
So taking somebody who's overweight, even if they're menopausal, and that's where the risk of osteoporosis and bone density loss is really high. If they're pretty overweight, then they're at less of a risk of that. So you maybe wouldn't have that person start jumping and doing plyometrics and stuff like that because they're probably fine because they're carting around that weight, and walking with that weight is going to help with that because the impact on the ground when they're walking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deload weeks.
I
Not what you think about them, but how are they rated? I would say underrated.
I'm not going there now,
Hmm.
because I think some people just put them in every couple of, at the end of every block or whatever, there might be a deload week, and I don't think you need to schedule it.
I guess that's what I don't know. I don't know what other people are doing. I know what's talked about on social media, and I don't hear people talking about deload weeks anymore because I think there was a period of time where people were talking about deload weeks, and then the pendulum came and said, well, what's the point of deload weeks? Like, you don't need to schedule. We have these natural breaks. So now nobody does deload weeks. And now, but I don't actually
and then
know
they
what
become
other.
me.
Yeah, exactly. Matt, that's Laura. Underrated. I think the same way about them. You don't necessarily need to schedule them. I like to program, and I know you do too, so that the first week of any new program is a natural deload week. You're still doing the exercises, but you're learning the weights, you're learning the movements, you're starting at a lower weight that you might normally, and you build up from there. And then if you vacation or you get sick, like you're naturally going to deload. So I don't think you need to schedule it unless you're like this CrossFit person doing 3 workouts a day that you need to schedule deload time because you probably
Yeah.
never actually take it.
Yeah. So that's why I can't say underrated, because I don't think most people even need to schedule them. I think I'm still gonna call overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
you're
it's
probably overrated for general population.
yeah, I don't think people
Every
need to do it.
every time a general population person starts a new program, they're probably without even realizing it going to deload. Like even if it's not programmed in there, they're probably going to take that first week and not really push it because they're
Yeah.
learning the exercises. So, yeah, I think it depends on the population we're talking about too, whether it's overrated or
That's what's
underrated.
hard about these sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Habit tracking. So
Like
tracking habits. So like with clients, if they need to track their, water intake or other kind of habits they're trying to build in. This is an awful one.
This is I'm gonna say overrated. I don't like. I think like it's annoying. Like if
Yeah,
I have the app
I'm.
and it's like drink your water today. Okay, I don't want to tell you every day. Like I'm not gonna click on this. Like that's just too much. It's too much noise. I'm just gonna drink
Yeah,
my water because I'm gonna drink my water.
yeah.
I don't know
It's
how to
funny
explain
because
it.
I feel the same way, and I'm usually like different with you. But like habit tracking, I feel like, and maybe this is just my own personal experience, but the only time I've ever been able to be consistent with a new habit is not because of a tracker I have or whatever. It's this intrinsic desire where I'm just like, F it, I need to do this.
Yeah.
But, and I've tried the little trackers before. I've tried the things I've given to clients. And if I don't want it enough, then I'm not going to do it, whether there's a paper or somebody telling me to do it or not.
Yeah.
But I've had clients that really benefit from them, and to the point where they'll even continuously like, I have some clients that I've had for years, and like about once a year they'll come to be like, "Hey, let's start doing these habits again. That was really," or "Hey, I want to use the habit tracker for this new thing. It really worked last time." And like they really like that, and they like that little
Do they?
foundation. Yeah. And whether it's in the app, so I can add it to that they check it off every day in the app, or whether it's that piece of paper that's like you write down whatever habit you're trying to do and you check it off when you do it. They like that little physical thing, and it actually helps them develop the habit, and then they'll use it for new habits as they go on.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't say if it's overrated or underrated per se, but
I'm a checklist person. I like to check things off a list, but
mhm.
habit tracking, I just have always found really annoying.
Yeah, same. I
Yeah.
also think I think that it's one of those things that can be too soft.
Yes. Yes. Maybe that's why I don't like it.
Yeah, so it can be too. So the clients I mentioned that like it and like they'll ask for it pretty regularly for different things, they're using it for a little bit low level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like habit tracking for things that matter a lot. The reason I'm talking so is I'm trying to figure out if I agree with myself as it comes out of my mouth or not. Like habit tracking for like the habit of exercise, I guess. I'm like, no, you just need to do it. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. To me, it becomes annoying when I constantly see that in my app of like, I need to do, yeah, you know what? That's what it is too. Because remember how when we were talking about the challenges, and I don't really like to participate in like a workout selfie, because to me
yeah.
that's like, yeah, okay, I'm supposed to do that anyway,
I'm already
right?
working out and now I
Yeah,
have to remember to take a picture while I'm
yeah.
doing it. Like, yeah.
But like if it's some kind of challenge, an actual challenge, then I like that much better. And I think the habits fall in that category of, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Not really
Yeah.
being a challenge, more of just like this. Yeah.
Yeah. And if my goal, like, I don't want to say like, okay, if I might have a goal of steps, but I don't want that as like a habit thing. Like, it's just gonna be like, hit these steps that day. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
You
I'd
know
rather break
what?
it down in goals.
You know what a habit, because I'm running through my mind all of the different things I might use a habit tracker for. Somebody might use it for. And I keep coming across ones where I'm like, yeah, I don't know, for some reason. One that I was like, yeah, I would like a habit tracker for that, and I could see that working really well, is a person who is a desk worker and them getting up every hour. So if they had some kind of little checklist off to the side of their paper, or off the side of their desk, like a piece of paper, and they had every hour of the day written down, and when they get back to their desk after their brief walk around the office, they just check it off. I could that would be very useful, and that would get them in the habit of getting up, getting up, getting up, right?
I would rather have like an alarm, just like this alarm goes off.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time for me to get up now.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to track it to
No.
compare how you've been doing over time. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is too. It's just like, I don't know.
It's
I
not
never liked that.
habits
Never liked
themselves, it's
consistency
the
trackers
tracking
either.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's not that that's the habit. Yeah, it's the tracking of them. I want a different way of doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Online coaching. It's a good one. You know what? I'm curious what you're gonna say. I think it's underrated right now.
Online coaching. Yeah. I think it's underrated
Yeah.
because I'm like thinking because people are it depends. It depends on who your coach is.
Yeah,
Right?
it always depends.
But people are afraid of it, I think, because because there's been a lot of crappy coaches out there. And with AI, everyone is like doing that, but not really. Then when they
Exactly.
do it, they realize this isn't really helpful because it doesn't have the same accountability as a person does.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah, tell me your thoughts and I'll
Well, that's why
give
I
some
think
more.
it's underrated, because I think people went the other direction, and now that they can type everything that they'd ever desired into AI and get an exact plan to achieve all of it, they think, well, what's the point of online coaching, right? And so all of that is like, yeah, I don't need that. I'll take your free guides and stuff, but I can get everything I need on ChatGPT. And so I think it's massively underrated because people are forgetting, but it's not just the knowledge that you needed, because all of that's always been available. It's always been
Yeah.
available. Online, before we had online, it was in books. Like, it's always been there. You just like that ChatGPT searches all of the online things, it puts it together in a cohesive way. So we're just making knowledge easier to understand and access. But you're not actually changing, necessarily what you do. And for some people, that's all they need. They needed all of the knowledge to be condensed and easily accessible for them to start. But maybe just to start, you're not going to get super far that way.
I'm assuming and this is just to add on, I'm assuming the plans are going to get better over time than what it gives you now, but I've asked it to do plans just to see, what it comes
Mm-hmm.
up with, because I wouldn't ever use any of that. But it sometimes, like, it's like all barbells. Like, it would be like, you're going to deadlift and then you're going to squat and then you're going to row and then you're going to bench press and then and it puts it like all in one workout, doing all of those with a barbell. I'm like, this is insane. No, this is a terrible program. So I don't think it's as, it's okay to start, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you would also have you have the knowledge to be able to prompt it
Yeah.
differently. Like, you would say, no, this is all barbells, or no, this is why I don't like, and you could give it enough prompts that it probably would eventually spit out something good, but not any better that you would have just designed, because you already knew all the prompts to give it. Therefore, you could have just written down the exercises.
Yeah.
Whereas most people using it are not knowing all of those prompts to give it, and so it's just spewing out some things, which could be a good base to start.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, it's going to spit out something that's a pretty good base to start. But like I said, bodybuilding.com has like tons of free workouts on there too.
Yeah, there's always been free workouts
There's
available.
always, free stuff available. So yeah, what people are missing is, but how do you implement this, and how do you adjust things when things aren't working or you're not getting the results that you want, or and online coaching can really help deliver all of those things. Like you said, if you have a good coach, because I think that was one of the things that happened too, was that there were so many people going into online coaching, and like a lot of people were really crappy or were overcharging for their services that weren't delivering anything close to what they promised, and it created a lot of mistrust. And then you have AI come out at the exact same time. There's a lot of mistrust.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect storm.
I feel like a lot of people are going to be leaving the industry.
They already are. They already have been.
They're deporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to get less saturated over time.
Yeah, definitely. It's already started.
Mm-hmm.
High intensity intervals. Not necessarily HIIT, just high intensity intervals in general. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say underrated.
High intensity intervals. So what do you mean?
Yeah, high intensity intervals.
So
Did that clear it up?
How is that different than HIIT though?
HIIT. Yeah, high intensity interval training. That's what HIIT means. Yeah, I guess it's not necessarily just intervals. High intensity intervals would technically be HIIT because they're high intensity intervals. They're not just your standard intervals.
Yeah.
All right. I was reading that incorrectly. It probably is HIIT. High intensity intervals. High intensity interval training.
Because there's HIIT, there's HIIT, like high intensity training, which is like going close to failure, doing one set, and then there's high intensity interval training, which is like cardio. So you're talking about high intensity interval training.
Yeah. When I read high intensity intervals, I was thinking just intervals, but that's just intervals, which actually I think that's underrated right now. But high intensity intervals, I think general interval training, interval doesn't even sound like a word anymore, I think is underrated because there's so much talk about like, oh, many menopausal women shouldn't be doing this, these like boot camp classes, and they should only be doing this or that, or this is just a waste of your time. I think there's a lot of benefit to just doing this middle zone cardio.
I love intervals. That's how I train. That's how like most of the conditioning I do is just intervals, not necessarily high intensity intervals. Because high intensity intervals, I can only do like one workout, one really short workout, and then I want to cry. So I rather do something I could do more frequently, and that I don't feel like I hate myself as I'm doing it. So I like high intensity, just interval training. So if we're talking about that, I'm going to say underrated. Yeah, because most people either do zone 2 or they do HIIT, and there's not really that in between. Right. So I like interval training, and it's restorative. Like I always feel like it helps recovery and everything.
And it helps your work capacity. When we talk about work capacity, it just interval training can really help with that.
Yeah.
High intensity interval training, HIIT, is not going to help with work because you're not doing it for long periods of time. So, but it is indirectly contributing to it, but it's not directly improving your ability to, do more in general. So I really think it's important to just have a variety of different types of, like, there is no one good or bad. I think the issue comes when we're like, oh, we're all doing like interval cardio all the time. And so then it's like, oh no, strength training is really important. You don't really need any of that. So then we're like, no cardio, all strength training. Like, and then it's like, oh, HIIT is the best thing ever. And also zone 2. So it's like only these two things. We need to be polarized all the time. It's like, really, you do need polarization. You do need strength training, and intervals are all just general, regular old cardio with intervals is also really beneficial.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do it all. Do it all. Yeah. I totally agree. Intervals, by the way, for me is something that I will stick to because I don't hate it. Because I hate doing the same thing over like zone 2 where it's like steady state where I am just running or jogging at a speed and I just do that for a half hour. For one, it doesn't make me feel good, but I don't know why, because I'm just weird. But I don't like that. whatsoever. I am bored out of my mind. But if I have it intervals, I am not bored because it's changing constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I enjoy that. And I like a break. I like to do something intense and then have a little bit of a break. And the
Yeah.
intense part isn't as intense as running as fast as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to add one in here that wasn't in here just because it's a topic I would like to talk about briefly before we end. Barre classes.
I
Barre.
don't know enough about that to have an opinion.
Do you know what they are?
It, 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 I have an idea in my brain, but I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, it's basically getting into positions and kind of holding them or pulsing them.
Okay.
And they call it bar because, you know, they have like a ballet bar and mirrors and you hold on to the bar. So you might get up onto your toes and then go into like a half squat and then just kind of pulse there. And you have to do it for long periods of time and it burns. Like it burns because you're holding this position in your muscle.
Okay, so I was picturing the right thing because I was picturing the bar and the mirrors. Okay, go ahead.
But
I didn't know the intricacies of it.
I definitely think it was overrated when it first came out. Everybody was taught like it was like the Pilates. I mean, it was, you know, bar, oh my gosh, strength training and getting stronger and muscle and, you know, similar to how Pilates is. And I think it's gone down. And I guess I don't know how it's currently rated. I guess I would say properly rated, but here's what I think is interesting too. So my mom was messaging me the other day and, you know, she started strength training consistently and I'm like so proud of her. I tell a lot of stories about my mom on here. And she's been really consistent with it. And I think she's at the point now where she's been running through the same exercises every time she goes. So I think she's starting to get a little bored. She also has this kind of chronic hip pain that she calls performance, but it could be that, or it could be some other, there's so much going on in your hips that it could be in that region, but not necessarily be from that. She's got this like chronic kind of hip ache and also low back ache that she kind of always deals with. She was hoping that strength training consistently would make it go away, and it has improved it, but it hasn't gone away completely. But she started going to bar classes as well. And she says that when she has completed a bar class, her pains are completely gone. She feels amazing. And that usually lasts like into the next day or two.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so she's just asking me, or maybe she wasn't really asking me, but she was just, but she did tell me this questioningly as if she almost like wanted me to respond. Like, I think in her mind, she's starting to think, should I just do this? Do I have to keep with the strength training? Right? You're shaking your head. What I said to her, do you have thoughts on that? Why do you think that might be? What do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I don't know enough about it to know what is happening. So I don't know if there's certain stretches or certain things that are getting strengthened that she was missing before, you know? Because generally, you know, it could be your core, it could be your glutes, it could be your hamstring. There's so many things that could be contributing to issues. So I don't know.
Yeah. What I kind of said, my thoughts on it are the strength training is definitely helping, because when you're strengthening muscles, you're going to help, you know, those imbalances. You're going to, you know, naturally those things are going to get better because you're going to be stronger and all of those muscles are going to be stronger. But a lot of times, especially when we get higher effort strength training, your posture can fall a little bit. There's tiny little things that make a big difference. Like she does a lot of Bulgarian split squats. When you go into a Bulgarian split squat, if you're not actively pushing your knee out to line your kneecap up with like your pinky toe and letting it kind of cave, you're missing a lot of opportunity for all those like, you know, abductor muscles and hip muscles and stabilizers and stuff. A lot of those just turn off and we're just focused on these big muscles. Whereas in bar, they're very focused on posture and balance. And so when you're in those positions, so your quad muscles aren't necessarily going to get bigger or stronger when you're in that half squat on your toes, but because of the way you are so focused on your posture and the way that your ribs are stacked and you're sitting in that position, all those stabilizer muscles in your hips and everywhere are all lit up, right?
Yeah.
So my answer to my mom was like, both are really important because you're getting these different benefits of both. And I think for you, a combination you definitely shouldn't stop strength training because that's helping you in a lot of these areas, but bar might be picking up the slack in a little ways in these
Exactly.
other areas.
Yes, I think so. That's what I meant. Like, yeah, all the little muscles that you might not be working, you might be missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think sorry, go ahead. You say what you're going to say.
Something about Bulgarian split squats too. If you are doing it with like an anterior pelvic tilt and you're not,
Yeah.
it will hurt your back even more.
Yeah.
So there are certain things, if you're not doing them correctly, you might be worse.
Yeah. There's a lot of exercises like that where you're technically doing it correct. And for somebody just seeing you doing it in a video or even a trainer in the gym might be like, oh, yeah, looks good. But there's these tiny little things that have a lot more to do with like constant repetition and years of training and starting to get those tiny little things. Like
Yeah.
for me, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of my ass. I don't think for me going to a bar class would be beneficial because I think that I already in my strength training, I'm so focused on all those different planes of movement. I'm focused on, the way that, I'm doing these exercises and the way that I'm positioned in my posture. Also, Bulgarian split squats and lunges, a lot of times people tilt their pelvis because they're reaching down for the ground a little bit. So they almost have this kind of twist instead of keeping their pelvis level. And I feel like now I feel like I need to go to a bar class and test that crap. That's what I think, right? That's what
I
I'm
know.
assuming.
I think it would still be I think it's always beneficial to do things that you're not used to doing. I just only think I think it wouldn't take you very long to get all of the benefits, and then you would be like, okay, this is it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, you might do it for like a little while and see some benefits, and then that's it. Like, it would only take you so far.
One of the drills talking about taekwondo training, in general, it's more than just the flexibility of it. So I was looking online and it was like leaning on a bar. So this is kind of like a bar class thing, but it was like leaning on something and then lifting up your leg as if you're going to do a side kick. So you bring
Mhm.
up your knee into that like side kick position, and in that position, and you don't have to lean on something, but it kind of helps because it takes that, the balance aspect away. So you can really focus on the positioning of your leg. So you bring your leg up like you're going to do a side kick. And then there's a few things you can do from here. You can either go ahead and put your leg out in a side kick, but just hold it there and do multiple reps, slow and controlled. Or you can just keep your leg like tucked in and your knee tucked in, but do like hip circles in the air.
Mhm.
Or you can stick your foot out straight, like in a side kick, and then just like pump and pulse. And it's meant to, help you be able to be in that position longer and like get
Yeah.
higher over time. But holy crap, I could only do like 5 to 7 of these pulse burning. And like my leg would just like drop down.
Yeah.
So that is like, that was basically bar training. They would probably do an exercise like that in bar. So maybe I was totally wrong and bar would be really helpful. But again, it's the idea that like that can be very helpful for a very specific thing, but you shouldn't do bar all the time. Bar is the best exercise. It really is if you find a combination of things that works really well for you and that you enjoy and you have fun going to and you feel good, that's like, and if I think you need to have that's actually really what it is. Everybody should probably have a blend of like resistance training, mobility and flexibility training, which I think bar could be lumped into, higher intensity cardio, lower intensity cardio, and a middle ground. And if you have a little bit of all of that in there, you're going to be really set up.
Yeah. Great.
Cool. All right. That was it.
All right.
Thanks for coming. If you like this, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Share it with a friend. Leave a 5-star review. I've heard that that's one of the biggest things that can help podcast outreach is those reviews, those 5-star reviews with an actual hand-typed comment. Those ones seem to get pushed out the most. So if you are open to helping us reach more people, we'd appreciate that so much. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.